1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back to It's Not a Sport, Season 4, Episode 4. And quick update, as always, really appreciate it if you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can listen to all of our previous shows, and all of our shows are archived, including the video version of this show on our YouTube channel, or the podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. They're all up there. Also, check out our social media, our Twitter, where you can get updates for each week of our show, our website, where you can find all of our shows and our articles that we've written. You can also find our Instagram, where you post some pictures, some art, and our TikTok, where you post some videos and content. With further ado, let's get into this week's topic, which is Blizzard. The nerds who fell, I want to say. So, over the break, I actually went back and played a couple Blizzard games. I played World of Warcraft. I played Hearthstone. I played some Diablo. I tried Heroes of the Storm when it was still live, but I never tried StarCraft 2. And StarCraft 2 was one of the biggest esports ever before it crashed and, League took over and all the other esports took over. StarCraft 2 was huge in Korea, and now it's not. And I want to understand what kind of happened to Blizzard, because they haven't had a really good track record at all over these last 10 years. With Diablo Immortal's announcement, people were pissed about that. With Warcraft Reforged, people are pissed about that. With most recently World of Warcraft changes, Overwatch changes, everyone's pissed about that. And it seems to me that since I've kind of been alive and gotten into Blizzard games, they've just been remaking the same game or copy and pasting other types of people's games. So what happened when I was playing StarCraft 2? I feel like I felt how much heart and soul went into that game, with the Arnold Schwarzenegger impression with one of the units, to the level of detail and level design and art design, to how you manage units. There's so much love that went into StarCraft 2, even the weird story and the voice acting, that it really makes me wonder what happened, right? So let's take a look back. And obviously this answer is very, very simple, I think. But let's take a look back. When Warcraft was starting out, or when Blizzard was starting out, their big games, Warcraft 1, then they had Warcraft 2 in 1995. First Diablo was released in 1997. Then we had the first StarCraft release in 1998. Now, what do all these games have in common right now? They're fantasy, Warcraft is about orcs versus humans. Diablo is about demons and angels. StarCraft is about aliens and humans. They're all sci-fi fantasy. They're all things that nerds really love, We love demons versus angels. We love orcs, monsters, dragons, versus humans and elves. We love that. We love, aliens versus hordes of aliens versus, humans in mech suits. We all love that. That's what we fell in love with, were those type of games. And as the years went on, we got Diablo 2, we got Warcraft 3, eventually came to World of Warcraft, one of the biggest MMOs ever. Now you can play with your friends and all experience the orcs and the horde and the alliance invasion, and just pure nerdiest at its finest is what you got to experience. And as times went on with Warcraft 3, now there's Warcraft 2 and esports again on. Now it's Hearthstone. They have a card game now. It's pretty cool. Heroes of the Storm, MMO. Things really went downhill when I think 2016 Overwatch came out, Overwatch was the first new IP that Blizzard has had that didn't rely on Diablo, that didn't rely on really World of Warcraft or StarCraft at all. my problems with Overwatch in general is it's really just a TF2 clone, but it was the first game and probably the last nerdy game that like really came out. And after that, they really started to bank on their legacy. You can see that the games are coming out. Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, Diablo Immortals, which is an iOS game, for the Chinese. And Blizzard stopped being a company for the nerds, about the nerds, where the developers were passionate about what they were making and really became, money hungering. They want as much money as they possibly can, business cuts, catering towards China. All these scandals that they've had over the past couple years is now Blizzard. The Blizzard and the employees that loved the nerdy content, that loved to create what we got, what they had, is no longer there. We can see that with World of Warcraft's design, their biggest design, and how people, if you go to Classic, how they had to put out Classic to begin with. But if you go to Classic and you look at how Classic handles its mechanics, its role play, it's, of course some of those features are outdated, but look how much people wanted it and how much people handle it, because it goes back to the core Alliance nerdiness and passionate of systems where Blizzard really cared about their game. And now you go, I skipped all of, I started playing WoW in Battle Azeroth, and how many systems aren't stacked on top of each other, where it's really more about how can I get the player to play and play and play and play, and it's not about how can I get the player to enjoy this content. It's more about how can I get them to play and renew their subscription. Even now, recently, I was kind of following some WoW news and how they're redoing the subscription, where if you want to pay for you have to pay for a 6-month subscription. They want you locked in on that 6 months guaranteed. You can't do single 30. It's too expensive. It's just how they want that to happen. Is so sad. It's such a disappointment on Blizzard's half. And I feel like this has kind of been of the theme of this season's show, of looking back at the past and seeing how things have changed. Blizzard, merged with Activision, I believe, in 2018. It says on here, or on my last link. 2018, it was announced that the company, had change of management. And when change of management is things change. Look at, Phil Spencer and the dude previous to Phil Spencer, and how Phil Spencer, when he came into office, how much he saved Xbox in general. But since change of management, we've seen budget cuts, and people losing their jobs where they obviously don't need to. The CEO makes more money catering towards the Chinese player base, and with the whole Hearthstone fiasco with Hong Kong, as well as the mobile game and BlizzCon, it's really hard. People want a game to love, and they want people who make those games to love, but people often forget that video games are a business. And now we're going too much in the business side of things. Blizzard is a business. That's what you have to understand. We're not going to get new games, new IPs, new things, because it's too dangerous to try those. So we're going to get remasters that are half-assed, like Warcraft Reforged. We're going to get remasters like Diablo 2 Resurrection. We're going to get Diablo 4 just to kind of, save what mess they made with Diablo Immortals. We're going to get Overwatch 2 to save the mess they made with Overwatch's balance and everything like that. But again, those announcements were announced, but where are they? Those announcements were announced almost like 2 years ago. And a lot of those things aren't even coming out this year or the end of this year. It's really weird. Where are the new games? Where are the trying? Where are the people that are want to try to make something new? And where do we have to look to find this? Well, the only place we can really look is indie. Indie's the only place. I think this is one of the reasons why we have PlayStation get so much success, is because they let their studios try something new. Instead of making a new infamous game, they went ahead and made one of the best games of 2020, being Ghost of Tsushima. They tried something new, and PlayStation, Sony allowed them to try something new. Blizzard, the higher ups in Blizzard aren't allowing these people to be creative and create new things, and it's very sad and it's very disappointing, because I, as a gamer, as a game developer, always thinking about how can I innovate and create something new, something cool. I think people would really enjoy a new RTS, a new StarCraft, but how can they do that to innovate on the RTS genre? Those are the questions that need to be answered. Those are the questions that I want to be answered. Anyway, that concludes this week's talk. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you guys who actually are more hardcore Blizzard fans and experienced the golden age of Blizzard games like Diablo 2 and old school World of Warcraft can shed more light onto this subject than I can. But I really want more new things and more creative from the industry as a whole. All right, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this week's talk. I really enjoyed it, especially now that I'm playing WoW Classic. It's very interesting looking at how Blizzard has developed as a company over the last decade, really, and where they're going from here, especially with their merger with Activision, because there's some recent funny news that now they're in the news section of the podcast, that most of Activision studios mostly work on Call of Duty, like exclusively. So I think it's pretty funny seeing how they're partnering up with Activision, who only makes Call of Duty, and playing a little bit of Warzone now too. Call of Duty has really become I feel like a recruitment tool for the military, or to glorify the military. And then you have WoW and the Blizzard and all these games that they're remaking that have really lost their nerdiness and passion in them. So it was a very interesting talk. I think I want to do a talk on WoW Classic as a whole, and it'll probably be a part 2 to the previous conversation. With further ado, let's get into the news, because that's what you guys are here for. Starting with some very, very good news, actually, and very, very smart. So, announcing that PlayStation's new partnership with Discord. So, Discord, if you don't know what it is basically the hub for communication of gamers. It is a application that allows you to create your own community, that people can post memes, information, chat to each other in, and also join talkative channels similar to Skype, similar to Zoom. Discord is what we should be using instead of Zoom, and that's essentially what Discord is. It's a hub for generally gamers. It's what we use since really the dawn of its existence, since the early years of Skype and TeamSpeak died out. Now we use Discord. Discord's the go-to, and they are partnering up with PlayStation, which is really good, because one of the sad parts about console gaming is that the only way for you to talk to your friends on consoles is through their like in-game party chats. And over the years, those have kind of become redundant as Discord has taken over the PC scene, because on Discord, you don't have to be in a party or anything. It gives the user more control. It gives the person who's the admin of the server more control, and everyone can kind of do their own thing and all come in this one community. But however, console gamers are only excluded from that unless you have your phone or your computer by your console. So now being able to join your Discord from your PlayStation while playing your PlayStation games, while your PC friends do whatever they do, or your other friends do whatever they do, is actually really good. Rapid fire in the news section right here. I've talked about it last week's show when we were talking about Berserk, Tower of God. Tower of God is another one that has some great world building, and recently it's been on hiatus, which means that it's been on break. The author's had some health issues, so I think he's been taking a rest, which is good, because how he pumps out the quality of these chapters again week after week is very impressive. And we finally got some news that the hiatus will break in the summer of this year. So if you haven't read Tower of God, now is the time. It's on Webtoons. It's long, but it starts out slow, but is actually fantastic. Or you can watch the anime, which is really the first arc of the series. So those are two places you can start. I, however, always recommend reading it. However, do listen to the anime soundtrack because it won Best Anime Soundtrack of last year, and it's actually really good with some bangers on that track. We also got some Battlefield 2 leaks, or technically 6 leaks, some screenshots that we can see right here of Battlefield, which is cool. You know, Battlefield's always a fun game. It's been a while since we've gotten a new one, so at least it's in the works and we know it. Now, they probably need to give more love to Battlefront as well, but, you know, I think DICE... or not DICE. Yes, I think DICE makes fantastic games. And then we have Saints Row, Saints Row the Third Remastered is actually coming out on PC. It's coming out soon. Saints Row, fun. It's the more wacky version of GTA, I would say. So it's really cool that this is coming out May 22nd, real soon. Halo Infinite will have crossplay, which is good, you know, as we just saw last week with Xbox opening up free games to a lot of people. It's no surprise that Halo Infinite, which should have been their flagship game for the next generation of Xboxes, will have crossplay, especially seeing the success of Halo Master Chief Collection, which we'll talk about in a bit. But we'll go to Mass Effect, which will have improved visual updates on its release, which is coming out very soon, May 14th. I believe that is next week. So very, very, very soon we will have, yes, it's next Friday. So we will have Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. And if you haven't played through these Legendary games, especially Mass Effect 2, this is your time to play it. A lot of chances right now, especially with this year, I think, being a slow year, we can go back and revisit some of those old classics that we haven't already. Like for me, for instance, I'm going back and playing a lot of old school classics. I want to play the old school Resident Evils, the old school, some JRPGs, really to build up my library and my horizon. Then we have some let goes. So some people, the people who worked on the Spiral games, they've all been like let go. This is another Activision thing where I don't really know what's going on with that company, but in Crash Bandicoot, they've all been let go. It seems that we are really going in a direction from Activision where they're just going to work on Call of Duty games. They're just going to pump out Call of Duty games, try and milk Warzone for what it's worth each year, and that's their role. Well, Blizzard kind of remakes what they have already done and, I don't know, appeal to China. So Activision Blizzard is a really weird company. It's a fall from grace from what they used to be. Nira Replicant version 1224744871139 has sold very well, or selling well, in Japan, with nearly 100,838 retail sales so far. So it's selling actually really well so far. I think it's the most sold PS4 game this week. It's a classic. Like definitely, again, a game that you should go back and revisit. I definitely plan to revisit. Definitely another game with a banging soundtrack, especially with all those tracks being remastered. So definitely check this game out if you haven't already, and then check out the sequel, which won Best Soundtrack in, I believe, 2017, and is also a Game of the Year contender for 2017, and that would be Nier Automata. Halo Master Chief Collection has more than 10 million players on PC. Yes, people are eating up Halo on PC, which is no surprise. They're real classic games. They're a lot of fun. If you got a lot of people to play with or just play some multiplayer with and grind it out, it's a lot of fun to do. I really enjoyed Reach. I wish I played more of it. I think I actually should play more of it, but they are a lot of some just classic, really fun games, and I want to see what they have next in store with Infinite, and since Bungie is no longer running the show and hasn't been for a couple years. The PlayStation Plus games for May, we have Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 5 is coming out. Wreckfast, Drive Hard, and Stranded Deep are all games that will be free, I believe, on PS4 and PS5. So definitely pick those up if you haven't already. Hey, it is DICE. Yes, DICE makes really good games, and they look great. So definitely give those games out a try if you haven't yet. The PlayStation 5 has sold 7.8 million copies or units as of March 31st, 2021. That's a lot of copies. The PlayStation 5 is doing very well. No news on the Xbox. I haven't seen news on how Xbox is selling, but just knowing this it's no surprise. Everyone wants a PS5. You know, the memes of it's your girl or it's your PS5. People are picking the PS5. There's people who got PS5s and they lost it and their wife kicked them out. So a lot of funny stuff. People want PS5s. I want a PS5, especially when the new God of War comes out. So no surprise that those are selling well. With further ado, let's get into esports, starting with the Overwatch League in standings. So currently in first place is Philadelphia Fusion, followed by Chengdu Hunters, followed by Washington Justice, then Shanghai, then Houston, then Florida, then Seoul, then San Francisco, Toronto, Dallas, Los Angeles Gladiators, Atlanta, Hangzhou Spark, Paris, Guangzhou Chargers, and tied for 16th place is Boston Uprising and New York Excelsior. 18th is Vancouver. 19th is London Spitfires, and 20th is Los Angeles Valiants. So really good things coming out from the Overwatch League. It's just getting started. It's very new in the season, so you know, people start battling for their spot. It's gonna get flushed out in the couple weeks. Next in the Overwatch League, we had the finals this week. Now, I said I was gonna look at how the Overwatch League is structured, and I did. Basically what it is that they play a series of 4 stages for each year, probably to do with each fourth quarter of this year. Very different from League. If you don't know how League, real quick, League is basically you play the first half of the year up until summer. So you play spring split, which is just, I believe, 8 weeks, 10 weeks of League of Legends tournaments, and then they compete to MSI, which is the mid-season intervention, which all the best teams from each region go, which is what we're currently waiting for, which I believe starts May 6th, which should be this Friday. And then from there they go back into summer, which is another 8 to 10 weeks, and then we go till September, November, October, and that's when World starts. And then we have the World Championship, which all the best teams from each region go. Whoever wins that's crowned World Championship of the year, gets their skin, yada yada. It resets. However, in Overwatch it's different. It's broken into 4 stages, 3 stages. The first 3 stages they play the Challenger Series, which are these, which we'll get to in a second, of the ratings and the ratings from last show, which are basically mini brackets to qualify for Masters. Now, Masters is a tiny MSI that they have at the end of each stage, that each region, since they're best teams, they compete in this master tournament for, I think, 2 weeks probably. And then whoever wins that gets points to go to the grand finals at the end of the year. And then they do that for 3 stages. And then the 4th stage is the grand finals. So set up a little bit different, a little bit faster. Honestly, I like this a lot more. It's shorter games, probably less stress on the players, more international tournaments, which means we get to see other regions play and see who's the best and see who's the worst, and more strategies develop until we get to the end of the year, which is the challengers or the big tournament, which is really nice. Anyway, for the finals of North America Challenger, that's the only one I'm going to go over, since it seems like the other ones just haven't really updated yet, and it seems like North American Challenger is kind of the big one. We have in the upper bracket quarterfinals, we have Anbox versus 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves won. Sentinels versus Vision won. Vision lost. Sentinels won. C9 Blue versus Team Envy. C9 Blue won. And then NRG versus XSET. NRG won. In upper bracket semifinals, we had Sentinels versus 100 Thieves. Sentinels won. And then we had NRG versus Cloud9 Blue. Cloud9 Blue won. And then in upper bracket finals, we had Sentinels versus Cloud9 Blue. Sentinels won. They moved over to finals. And then we get down to lower bracket. In lower bracket round 1, we had version 1 versus Anbox. Version 1 won. They moved forward. We had Exit versus Team Envy. Team Envy won. They moved forward. In round 2, we had Vision 1 versus NRG. Vision 1 won. They moved forward. Team Envy versus 100 Thieves. Team Envy won. They moved forward. In round 3, we had Vision 1 versus Team Envy. Vision 1 won. They moved forward. And then for lower bracket finals, we had Vision 1 versus Cloud9 Blue. Vision 1 won. Damn, they literally climbed themselves all the way out of lower brackets, all the way to the finals, where they first against Sentinels, where they got 3-0 by Sentinels. It's very sad, but that was a good run by them, definitely. And that concludes esports for this week, since we'll have League and MSI starting up next week. And of course, for game releases, nothing too big, nothing huge out of the blue. The only big one for this week that you should definitely keep your eyes on, that I'm very excited for, is Resident Evil Village, better known as Resident Evil 8, better known as Sexy Tall Vampire Lady Stares at You. Yes, all those memes are true, and they're about to get a lot memeier. One of the best parts of being excited for this game, definitely. That comes out May 7th, which is this Friday. Other than that, we got Assassin's Creed DLC, comes out May 13th. We got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, comes out May 14th. That's all next Friday stuff. That's all next week. Nothing you need to worry about. All you need to worry about is that sexy vampire chick coming from you out of Japanese folklore, straight out of Resident Evil 8 Village. And judging how the remake of the reboot of Resident Evil 7 did very well a couple years ago, and remakes of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 remake, not too well. But this game is actually looking really good, and I would definitely play it if I wasn't so busy already developing my own stuff. So, with that further ado, that's going to conclude this week's show of It's Not a Sport. Quick reminder, as always, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps me out, lets me know what you're thinking. Check out our TikTok, where we put up quick little tutorials like fasting Senna video, that's up there. And our other social media, our Twitter, where we'll post updates about the show, and our Instagram, where we post some art and stuff too. All those links are in the description below. Or if you're watching our YouTube channel, where you can catch all the archived previous shows of season 1, 2, and 3 are all up on our YouTube channel. You can see the VOD of me showing you and talking about the show as well. That's right below me, right below the cam. And if you want to listen to the podcast version, then you can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, where you can find the most recent shows from the past couple weeks and the most recent season up every Tuesday. With further ado, that's going to be this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. I hope you are having a wonderful climb as always, and this is your host, Salty Waffles, signing off.